पिकनिक पे लेके चले गए थे, दोनों ही खाली हो गई ना। अच्छा, मेरे पास ना 120 रुपये खुले नहीं पड़े आधार का नोट, कोई मसला नहीं, अच्छा।
Okay, G, how are you? How are you, everyone? अबे ताहिर, सेल के नंबर सही करिए। तूने सेल के नंबर क्या डाले हुए हैं? जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम। हेलो आंटी, आपने कॉल म्यूट कर दी है। जी जी, हेलो जी। अब आ गया, आपने जरूर भी लगा कैसे हो? जी, आदमी की आवाज़ें कहाँ से आ रही हैं? अच्छा,
3400 को बनाई हुई है, एक बार एक पाया कि 3200 को बनाई हुई, क्या किया नंबर नहीं डाले थे।
Okay जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, how are you all? This is me, Hamza Kiani. ओके, ठीक हो गया। 34 से हमारी सेल जो है वो बनी हुई है। तकरीबन 34 से लेके हमारे पास जो है सेल आ रही है वो है, कौन कौन ऑनलाइन है मैसेज कर देना ताकि मुझे पता चल सके। मैं डॉक्स देख रहा हूँ। अच्छा, मार्केट ने आज अपने को इतने लेवल नहीं चेंज किए हैं। मार्केट ने आज अपने को इतने लेवल नहीं चेंज किए, अपनी सपोर्ट एंड रेजिस्टेंस भी मेंटेन ही रखी है। ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लॉस अभी यूज कीजिएगा जब तक 7 नहीं बच जाते। सात बज जाए ना फिर आप बेशक जो है वो कुछ सेलर तो बायर तो बड़ी स्पीड से कम हुआ है, बहुत स्पीड से 10% बायर कम हो चुका है। इट्स अ गुड साइन। मेहर अली, अच्छा जी मेहर, क्या हाल है, कैसे हो, ठीक हो? ओके। 34 से हमारे पास 21 तक की जो है ना वो सेल बनती है यूएस सेशन में हमारे पास। और इंटरनेशनल मेकिंग भी देखनी पड़ेगी, मार्केट अगर एकदम से गिरती हुई। ओके ओके ओके, अभी तक जो है ना 34 से अगर देखा जाए ना, अगर किसी ने एसएल भी दिया हुआ तो वो अभी तक हिट नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है। तो लेकिन ये है कि मैं कहूँगा अगर आप लें तो फिर ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लॉस यूज़ करें। दो एक दफ़ा मार्केट अच्छी नीचे गई है, अगर वापस आई है तो फिर कोई मसला नहीं है। तकरीबन 32.74 तक गई है तो वापस आई है तो कोई मसला नहीं है, दोबारा ट्रेड ले लेंगे 7:15 बजे के बाद ना। अगर उसके पहले 34 वाली एंट्री लेते हो ना तो वो फिर ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लॉस के ब्याह पे लिया करो। खैर खैर खैर, हमारे पास मुझे जो फाइंडिंग नज़र आ रही है कि सेल सेल में तो मार्केट ने थोड़ा सा डिप ड्रॉप डाउन लिया है। 42 से ही सेल बन गई थी M1 में, M5 से अभी बनी है, M15 में कहानी थोड़ी सी रुकी हुई है। M15 में अगर एक गई तो फिर लंबी जाएगी। M30 की क्या, सब मार्केट ने रेजिस्टेंस ले लिया, मार्केट रिजेक्शन ले रही है, अच्छा सही सही। हाँ, मोहम्मद बिलाल चौधरी, चौधरी साहब तुसी भी आ गए हो। मैं चल चाय डाल के लाऊं अपनी, फिर उसके साथ काम करते हैं, सो कर उठते हुए कंप्यूटर ऑन कर लिया। मैं जब तक चार्ट लगा दूं आप लोग भी देखें तो आप लोग अच्छा जी, वेलकम बैक। ओके ओके ओके। हमारा स्पोर्ट्स बाइक वाला हेलमेट नीचे गिर गया है। मार्केट वही 7 बजे तक ही कहानी लेके जाएगी कोई ना कोई। यही कहानी करनी है इसमें, मुझे लग रहा है ऐसा ही है। अच्छा जी।
Obviously, there should be compensation for if something incredible is done, the compensation should match that something incredible was done. But I'm confident that whatever some activist posing as a judge in Delaware happens to do will not affect the future compensation.
This is the judge who twice struck down the $56 billion pay package that was awarded to you. I think the value on the current value of stock options. Yeah.
Not a judge. The activist who is cosplaying a judge in a Halloween costume.
Okay, that's your characterization. I think on the current value of stock options, I think the actual
justice according to the law.
On the current value of stock options, I think the value of that pay package stands at about $100 billion. Are you saying you are relaxed about the value of your future pay package? Your decision to be committed to Tesla for the next 5 years, as long as you are still with us on this planet, is completely independent of pay?
No.
It's not independent. So pay is a relevant factor then to your commitment to Tesla?
It's sufficient voting control such that I cannot be ousted by activist investors is what matters to me. And I've said this publicly many times. But let's not have this whole thing be a discussion of my alleged pay. It's not anything. It's a reasonable control thing over the future.
हम सब आ गए, साथ में इनका टेस्ला का शेयर भी चल रहा है।
Humanoid robots. I can't be sitting there and wanting to get tossed out by, for political reasons, by activists. That would be unacceptable. That's all that matters. Now let's move on.
Okay, well, just one question.
Let's move on.
Well, one question before we move on to other companies, which is that I wonder if some of what has happened to Tesla in the last few months, did you take it personally?
Yes.
And did it make you regret any of it or think twice about your political endeavors? Because it is.
I did what needed to be done. The violent antibody reaction, and I'm not someone who's ever committed violence, and yet massive violence was committed against my companies. Massive violence was threatened against me. Who are these people? Why would they do that? How wrong can they be? They're on the wrong side of history, and that's an evil thing to do. To go and damage some innocent person's car, to threaten to kill me. What's wrong with these people? I've not harmed anyone. So something needs to be done about them. And a number of them are going to prison, and they deserve it. And more will.
You're referring to the attacks on Tesla showrooms, but I think
Yeah.
Well,
Bullets into showrooms and burning down cars is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Those people will go to prison, and the people that funded them and organized them will also go to prison. Don't worry.
But wouldn't you?
We're coming for you.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you acknowledge that some of the people who turned against Tesla in Europe were upset at your politics, and very few of them would have been violent in any way. They just objected to what they saw you say or do politically.
Well, it's certainly fine to object to political things, but it's not fine to resort to violence and hanging someone in effigy and death threats. That's obviously not okay. That's absurd. That is in no way justifiable at all, in any way, shape, or form. And some of the legacy media nonetheless have sought to justify it, which is unconscionable. Shame on them.
Let's talk about your other companies then and other business areas, SpaceX. I saw that you said in a speech at the West Point Military Academy recently that the future.
एक बात है, हाँ आदमी की बात करने का और सारी चीज़ों का ये देखो तो पता चलता है कि इकॉनमी कम से कितना आ गया। बहुत बड़ा फ्यूचर है, बहुत बड़ा विजन है उनके पास, उसके हिसाब से काम करें। डेट्स वाई दे आर 100 years अगो फ्रॉम अस। हम लोग अभी तक अपने बेसिक मसलों से बाहर नहीं आ रहे। अच्छा 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 मार्केट आज मेरे ख्याल से नॉर्मल ही अपना चल रही है। सुबह मार्केट ने एक अच्छा सेल मूव दिया था। मैं ये रहा, ये 6 से 7 है, ये 7 से 8 बजे वाली कैंडल है। अच्छा, सऊदी अरेबिया शेवरॉन प्रोफाइल। उसके बाद 8 से 9, 9 से 10, 10 से 11, 11 से 12, 12 से 1। यूरो में चढ़ी है मार्केट, यूरो में गई है। अच्छा वो लेटर ऑन यूरो करके आराम से मार्केट करके घूम फिर के आके वहीं आगे खड़ी हो गई है बस, और क्या। अच्छा जी। मलेशिया भी जो है वो हुआवे की टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ मिलके एआई बना रहा है। इट्स काइंड एआई सिस्टम। दुनिया कहाँ से कहाँ जा रही है चौधरी, तुम अभी तक नौकरियों में फंसे हुए हो। Hmm.
Of course.
Okay, well, that's certainly going to be one to watch. I also wanted to ask you about AI and regulation, because when you were here last talking to John Micklethwaite, you had some pretty strong words about the risk that AI poses, and you said that you really felt what the US was missing was a federal AI regulator, that something along the lines of the Food and Drug Administration or the Federal Aviation Administration. Now, you're clearly now in a zone where you're more on the cutting regulation side than wanting new regulators. So has your view changed on the need for an AI regulator?
Well, it's not that I don't think there should be regulators. You can think of regulators like referees on the field in sports. There should be some number of referees, but that you shouldn't have so many referees that you can't kick the ball without hitting one. In most fields in the U.S., the regulatory burden is growing over time to the point where it's like having more referees than players on the field. And this is a natural consequence of an extended period of prosperity. It's very important to appreciate this. This has happened throughout history. when you have an extended period of prosperity with no existential war, there's no cleansing function for unnecessary laws and regulations. So what happens is that every year more laws and more regulations are passed because legislators are going to legislate, regulators are going to regulate, and you'll get this steady pile of more and more laws and regulations over time until everything is illegal. And let me give you an example of a truly absurd situation. Under the Biden administration, SpaceX was sued for not hiring asylum seekers in the U.S. Now, the problem is it's actually illegal for SpaceX under ITAR, International Traffic and Arms Regulations, to hire anyone who is not a permanent resident of the United States, because the premise being that they will take advanced rocket technology and return to their home country if they're not a permanent resident. So we're simultaneously in a situation where it's illegal to hire asylum seekers, and it's also illegal to hire asylum seekers. And that the Biden's Department of Justice chose to prosecute us despite both paths being illegal. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
But my question was specifically about a regulator for AI, which you said 3 years ago was needed, and you said we need to be proactive on the regulation of AI rather than reactive. Have you changed your mind on that?
No, of course not. No, of course not. What I'm saying is that there should be some referees on the field, a few referees, but you shouldn't have a field jam-packed with referees such that you cannot kick a ball in any direction without hitting one. So the fields that have been around for a long time, such as automotive, so aerospace, the sort of food and drug industries, are over-regulated, but the new fields, like artificial intelligence, are under-regulated. In fact, there is no regulator at all.
So there should be. Do you still think that?
Yes, I'm simply saying, which I think is just basic common sense, that you want to have at least you want to have a few referees in the field. You don't want to have an army of referees, but you want to have a few referees on any given field, in any given sport, or even any given arena, industrial arena, to ensure that public safety is taken care of. But you don't have so there's a proper number of referees. Like I said, it's actually very easy to visualize this when compared to sports. If the whole field is packed with referees, that would look absurd. But if there are no referees at all, your game is not going to be as good.
Okay, so let's then talk about your new world, your role advising government. You are in this unique and unprecedented position of having billions of dollars worth of contracts with the federal government yourself, mostly through SpaceX, and also now an insider's knowledge of it because of Doge. Can you see that there is a conflict of interest or a potential conflict of interest in broad terms just through that very fact?
I don't think so, actually. There have been many advisors in throughout history and in the U.S. government and others who have had economic interests. And I'm simply an advisor. I don't have formal power. And that's it. A president can choose to accept my advice or not. And that's how it goes. If there's a single contract that any of my companies have received that people think is somehow not was awarded improperly, it would immediately be front page news, to say the least. And if I didn't mention it, so they might come as would. So if you're not seeing that, then clearly there's not a conflict of interest.
क्या चल रहा है पीछे, ये भी तो देखें हम YouTube पे.
Whether it's companies like Boeing or companies who would like to do more of the kind of work you do for NASA, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and because Doge is in every federal government department, you or people who work for Doge, and you are the driving force behind it, have an insight into those companies' affairs and those companies' relationships with the federal government.
No, all we do is we review the organization to see if the organization has departments that are no longer relevant, and and then are the contracts that are being awarded good value for money? In fact, frankly, the bar is not particularly high. Is there any value for money in a contract? And if there isn't, then we make recommendations to the secretary. The secretary can then choose to take those actions or not take those actions, and that's it. And any action that is as a function of Doge is posted to the Doge website and to the Doge.gov or at Doge handle on the X platform. So it's complete transparency, and I've not seen any case where, to the best of my knowledge, there's even been an accusation of conflict, because it's completely and utterly transparent. That's it.
And what about the international dimension? Now, let's think about Starlink. Starlink is obviously a very, very good internet service. It's sought after all over the world. It's critical to the front line in Ukraine. It has also had more contracts coming its way, and there is some evidence that companies are allowing access to it because they want to be close to the Trump administration and send the right signal. So Bloomberg broke news today that the South African government is working around the rules on black ownership in order to allow Starlink in, and that is being done on the eve of the visit that President Ramaphosa is going to make to the White House. Do you recognize that as a conflict of interest?
No, of course not. First of all, you should be questioning why are there racist laws in South Africa? That's the first problem. That's what you should be attacking. It's improper for there to be racist laws in South Africa. The whole idea with what Nelson Mandela, who was a great man, proposed was that all races should be on an equal footing in South Africa. That's the right thing to do, not to replace one set of racist laws with another set of racist laws, which is absolutely wrong and improper. So
हमारे जो है वो सबर जो है ना वो सब में थोड़ा सा कम है बस। हाँ ये सही रहेगा अगर बना के भेज देना, क्योंकि यहाँ वो चीज़ भी नहीं मिलेगी और बहुत बड़ी खपत है डिज़ाइन विज़ाइन करवाना। सॉर्टेड है। हाँ ठीक हो गया, ठीक हो गया। बाकी वो अकाउंट्स वगैरह का जो काम बताया था वो हो गया। लोकल डिपॉजिट जो ऑन वगैरह करवाने थे सारी चीज़ें होगा। कोई हाल नहीं है इस आवाम का कि इनके लिए आप जो है वो टाइम भी निकालो, और ये अपने काम के लिए भी नहीं आ सकते लाइव स्ट्रीम पे। चलो खैर, और ये अपने काम। देखते हैं, हमारे पास 2 लेवल्स मौजूद है। वन इज द ओके, एक 52 का लेवल है, एक 34 का लेवल है। हम्म, 52 से 56 तक की बाय बनती है। 52 का तो मेरे ख्याल से इसने अभी तक लिया भी नहीं है। 50.54 तक का हाई मारा है, तो 52 से जो है वो 56 तक की बाय बनती है। 4 पॉइंट है वैसे तो, लेकिन अब ट्रेड बनेगी तो क्या करें, लेनी पड़ेगी। और नीचे जो 3420, 34 से 20 तक की सेल है। फिलहाल मार्केट में बाहर बैठा हुआ है, SPR भी बाई की तरफ बता रहा है। ऐसा 100-200 पिप्स की ट्रेड हो जाए आज सर। 312 स्ट्रॉन्ग रिएक्शन है। हाँ शायद वैसा ही है, ब्राइट साइड। हेलो हमजा भाई, हाउ यू? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, आई एम गुड। आप बताएं क्या हाल है, कैसे हैं आप? ठीक है। शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक हो गया। ब्राइट साइड साहब, आपका नाम क्या है पूरा? एक सेकंड आप लोग रुकिएगा। अच्छा जी, मैं तो वापस आया हूँ, तो ये तो टीपी हो चुका हमारी ट्रेड का माशाल्लाह। जबरदस्त। माशाल्लाह माशाल्लाह, ज़बरदस्त, ग्रेट रिजल्ट्स टीम, माशाल्लाह, बहुत अच्छा, बेहतरीन। ओह, मार्केट 61 तक चली गई। अरशद भाई, ज़बरदस्त ज़बरदस्त ज़बरदस्त, मार्केट माशाल्लाह बाय में निकल गई। अच्छा, ज़बरदस्त। वो हमारे उस्तादी गिरामी कहा करते थे, ट्रेड से आप लोगों ने शादी नहीं कर ली है। अगर बाय की बन रही है तो बाय की ले लो, सेल की बन रही है तो सेल की ले लो। दैट्स इट। कभी भी किसी चीज़ पे बायस नहीं होते। अच्छा 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 अच्छा।
Sector, what's your view on it?
ऐसा ही है, मार्केट इज ऑन 63। बेहतरीन ट्रेड रही आज माशाल्लाह। 4-5 पॉइंट्स आर इनफ यार। अगर आप $4-5 रोज का कमा लेते हो तो बुरे नहीं है। सिर्फ अगर ये ट्रेड भी लिए तो भी बुरे नहीं है। चलो जी, स्ट्रीम को ओवर करते हैं। ट्रेड भी लग चुकी है और मेरे ख्याल से सारे घर भी जा चुके हैं, तो फिर इंशाल्लाह होती है मुलाकात। थैंक यू। अल्लाह हाफिज़।